to get started. We certainly want to thank our lunch sponsor, Helen. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm Helen Maldonado with One Nation Title. I am one of your platinum sponsors, so you'll see me here at all the Tuesday meetings and as many events as I can possibly be at. I want to get to know each and every one of you and see how I can better serve you. We do have 3 offices in the Houston area. Our main office is on Memorial Drive at Kirkwood, and we have an office in Old Katy as well as on Voss at Westheimer. But because of our relationship, our partnership with Keller Williams Memorial, if you have a client that needs us to go mobile for them, we do that at no additional fee for you. So just let me know how we can serve you better. We do have multiple underwriters, which is another unique thing. We don't have to write on one paper. We are a full agency with 4 underwriters. So you have choices, and your clients have choices. So I hope everybody got my card and stylus pen. If you didn't, I'm going to leave some here. Grab them. Let's have coffee or visit for a little bit after a Tuesday meeting. I'm here for you. Let me get to know you and how I can better serve you. Y'all enjoy this class, and Cap, all of you.
All right, we're going to get started now. Who has the mics in the front? Okay, 2 mics. We got 1 in the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to just rotate it through as we go through. And as you feel prepared to talk about one of the questions that we laid out, feel free to jump in. But I want to make sure I get all of you. If something doesn't apply, then you don't have to answer that one. That's okay. But the whole focus today is, what can I implement today that'll make a difference in my business? Remember, they are in the embryonic stage of their careers, new to it. And so it's a real term. Alexa told me that. But they are hitting it at a much higher level than the average agent. So let's learn from them today. We got my questions. I will stand back here.
You have the questions back there, but if you want to introduce.
And I'll take a pen. All right, so we can start up right here with you, Michael. Just tell us who you are, how long you've been in the business. Yeah, go ahead. You can do production as well.
My name is Michael McSorley. I've been, my year was July 1st, so I guess a year and 3 months.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead and pass it down.
Okay, my name is Kate Weatherford, and I've been here for a little over a year. I've actually had my real estate license for a long time, but I've been in and out doing other things part-time, so full-time since January.
So full-time since January of this year. So if we take a look at it, so you were doing part-time before. Do I have a pointer? I think I do. Ozzy's my pointer. So we can see since January 2017 full-time? January of this year. Yeah, so that's that bar. Now when you see yellow, yellow represents when they have buyers close. Listings are the green. So that just tells you that the mix of business is about 50-50. But with that, you have, it's hard to see, but 2.2 million in the last 12 months. The middle line is 12 months. Before that is month 13 through 16. So she's up from 2.2 last year, let me take that back. She's up to 3.5 million. She's 2.2 ahead of where she was last year. Last year she was at 1.2. So the gist of it is we've got rising business. Now some of them are declining, but they've got a bunch of stuff going, and that's why they're a part of our panel. Okay, go ahead, Jennifer.
Hi, my name's Jennifer Arnold. I've been in the business 2 years.
2 years. And you came from a different market center, didn't you?
I did.
I don't know anything about it. Has it been better for your business or worse for your business?
I would say better.
Okay, I'll take
You'll
it.
be able to see it.
If it is worse, it's okay to say better. All right. Jennifer is basically, you said a couple years? So for your first year, that's the 2 ones on the left, 239,000 volume. Then you jumped it up to almost 2.9 million, and that's MLS, 2.9 million MLS in the last 12 months.
Can I tell you what I'm doing in September?
What are you doing in September?
Another million.
So that doesn't show yet. It's about to show. We're always a month behind. Okay, so she's got another one starting in the threes. Be cool to hear what she's doing. All right. Now we got a team here.
I'm Cheryl Bell, and Kevin is my cohort up here.
So
and,
you've been taking the buyers we see.
Yes.
Right?
Lots of buyers. I joined 1 year ago today. Kevin joined in June, but prior to that, he had been in a couple different scenarios, and he'll probably talk a little bit more about that when the mic goes to him.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's us.
Very good. Alex?
Hey there, I'm Alex McCauley. I started in March of 2015, but I had another full-time job up until October 1 of this year. So I'm officially full-time, but it's taken a while.
But you're also doing something else. What else are you doing at the beginning of this next year?
Oh, you're so funny. I'm training for the Houston Marathon. So,
Right. So she's doing that. So she's up early at the gym over at our other office. She's
not the last
working it out.
couple weeks, but yeah.
But she's hitting it. I've watched her over there. So here's what happened over here. This all moves over. So she had a huge month 14 months ago, 13 months ago. She's got some more. She works in kind of, it's not consistent all the time. What does this next month look like for you?
Last month closed just under $1 million, so that's.
So we have another $1 million popping into this. Okay, fantastic. All right, Dave.
Hi, my name is David Smith, and I've been in real estate for a while, but I actually just got back in within a year and a half ago.
Right
and
about here, he started taking it serious.
And so I guess, putting the right systems in play. I'm actually a dad, and I have children, so I mean I'm kind of working those hours like most of the people out here, young kids. She's about 4 years old. Everybody's probably, a lot of people have seen her around the office.
Yep.
So she's either here with me late at night.
Pawns his kid off to get more business. But
Yes.
in the last 14 months,
She's my salesperson.
in the last 14 months, he's right about the 6 million mark for 14 months. If we take those out, he's at 4.3. Again, he had a license, didn't work it, and they said, okay, about 18 months ago, he got serious about it.
And we just put on another $2.6 million in listings that'll be coming on the commercial side here.
Fantastic. All right. Jessica, you just really started hitting it.
My name is Jessica Moreno, and I started here in April, so I'm going on, I think I'm at a year and a half here.
Yeah, she started right about here. She came from a Century 21 office. See back there? I'm not saying anything. Heavy on the buyer side, right? But it's just progressively getting more and more and more. And we're excited to dig into what the catalyst was for you. So about a year and a half. All right? Joey?
Yes, this is Joey Barnhill, and I've been at almost 2 years, I guess, now.
That's coming back almost 2 years. A couple of months, you gotta dig in. It takes a couple months for these things to post. In the last 12 months, 4.8, almost 4.9 million here. Again, better than every other month, but he has some big months. There's 1.1 million. He's nice and consistent between buyers and sellers. Okay?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lee.
I am Lee Smalley. I've been in the business just almost 2 years. This is my last week of my second cap year. And I didn't really do much in the first year. It's all kind of taken off for me in the second year.
In the second year, you're at 2.6 million in her second year. Predominantly buyers again. And we see that especially for our newer agents you're going to find. Buyers are the easiest thing to go out and get. It's just a lot more work, right? And you'll learn that about leverage. Okay, very good. Oz.
I'm sorry, I thought this was an AA meeting.
Ozzy.
I'm Ozzy. I started in May, my first day was May 25th, 2015. I capped the day before my year was up, my first year.
Same thing happened to him too.
Then halfway through my second, and I'm getting ready to cap next week on my third year halfway through. So I'm or 2 months in, so I'm good.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I get the next few months, or next until May to gravy.
4.6 million right now MLS.
And in October, I should have, between October and November, I'll have another 3 million to close. So that's good. I'm happy.
Should be happy. All right. So, of course, Kevin and Cheryl. This is Kevin. Kevin's at 2.3. Last year, guys, $500,000. Okay? When it hits, it hits. All right? Then they said, okay, let's get an office. And we're dying. And they got a little baby, and they got another one on the way.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing it, Kevin?
So I've actually been in the business for a little over 4 years now. I worked at a couple of boutique firms. Originally started out trying to do commercial. It just wasn't for me. And I resigned to the fact that I was going to do residential. And it's actually, yeah, I know. It's a sad story.
You guys can do commercial here, right? But don't give up on your bread and butter.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Because you will sit on a commercial deal for 900 years and be like, it's going to close and I'm going to make $1 billion, and you're broke.
So,
right?
so residential is it's where the cash flow is at, and so and we recognize that as a team. But yeah, so started here June 1st of last year, and we capped like the day before it rolled over, and then so now. So from June 1 till now, we should cap again this month. So
not bad.
Yeah,
not bad. And how many months is that? In the
I
second?
think 5.
5 months
Yeah.
capping. All right, and Drew.
I'm Drew Da Silva, and my first day here was August 1st of 2016. I capped 30 days before the end of my first year, and I capped with a little less than 2 months of my second year, which
So
is
this is the second year. She starts here, and she's already capped. Isn't it cool to know that they're going to share with you what they're doing? You don't see this at other companies, and I'm grateful to all of you for taking the time to do this. You're going to be giving away some secrets. Don't worry, only half of them will use it. Is it you or the person next to you that's going to implement? That's what you have to decide. You're going to get all excited. You're going to write all these incredible notes. Of the notes, go through them and say, what am I going to do today? Don't leave here without committing to doing at least one thing today. Because I swear you will have pages of notes potentially, but if you don't implement, this does you no good. Are we all in agreement? Okay? All right. Let's get into it, guys. All right. First off, what is your best lead generation method or tool? Come down the list. Tell us what it is just quickly.
I would say just calling, massive calling.
Are you calling people you know or don't know?
Both. Definitely both. I would much rather call people that I know because it's usually a better relationship building, but people that you don't know is obviously a much bigger pool of people, so I draw from both of those areas.
What does that conversation sound like with somebody that you know, you haven't spoken to them in 3 years? What does it sound like?
If I haven't spoken to them in a while, it's just a, hey, this is Joey Barnhill. I'm just, I don't know if you remember me from, so-and-so or whichever place, and just calling to say hi, and see how you're doing. And then just, it's a general check-in, and then I ask them specifically, by the way, if you were to work with anybody in real estate, do you have somebody that you'd be working with?
There you go. Pretty non-confrontational, but he's making the call, and they instantly think of him. What's that called when it's now put in their mind, and you're at top of awareness? There's a part of your brain. Say it again. Reticular. Your RAS. It turns on their RAS. As soon as you do that, the RAS is on. Like it or not, even if they hate him, their RAS is turned on. Nobody hates Joey. Go ahead, Jess. Thank you, Joey.
Mine is going to be social media, so Facebook and Instagram, and referrals from my past clients.
Okay. So guys, let's be careful when we hear Facebook and I'm going to put it on Facebook. You could do that forever and get nothing. You still have to make some kind of contact with these people. You're already getting established, but we need to get there. Right. Very good. Thank you.
Mine's pretty much a combination of both theirs. I mean, honestly, you're in a people-to-people business. You have to let people know who you are. Right now, nobody knows who you are. I mean, if you've just got started, nobody knows you're an agent. So you got to reach out and talk to these people. You shouldn't be scared of the fear of them saying, I don't want to talk to you, or hanging up on you. What are they going to do? So reaching out, talking to them, that's been my easiest thing. Everybody knows here at this area who knows me. I'm not scared to talk to anybody. But at the same time, it's reaching out, talking to them, social media. Texting is a big also thing I'd like to actually add to that, since today a lot of people respond through texting. If you can't get somebody on the phone, send them a text, send them an email, send them a video message. Video is even very hot right now with what I do. Get on your phone, Get on your BombBomb account. Get on just your phone and send a video. Hey, this is David. I'm a local resource in the area. Let me talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the market. Please give me a call. Buy your cup of coffee.
See how easy that is? And BombBomb, who's aware of what BombBomb is? When you get a video from me, it's shot on BombBomb. It's something that tracks when somebody opens it and tracks when somebody looks at it. It's good data, right? You could be sending out something and nobody could care and you'll know it. That's a bad message, right? So BombBomb allows you to really track it. And you've always had a sophisticated edge to your level of business. Alex?
I think mine's definitely a combination of everybody's, but I was a little bit different when I started. I'm not from Texas, not from Houston, so besides my husband's family, who we all love our families, but sometimes that's not necessarily who we want to be working with. I had to find other ways, and open houses were really how I started my business. I've always come from a sales background, cold calling sales. I'm the opposite. I have no problem talking to strangers. I'm much more hesitant when it's friends and family because I don't want to feel like I'm bugging them, right? So for me, strangers, I have no problem getting in there and being a little bit more aggressive. So open houses was where I found my business in the beginning. That's kind of changing now that I have gone full time. I'm a big peak producer person, so it's going back to fundamentals and basics and calling, sending notes, pop buys to all of my database now.
That's a good point. Who here has either taken Peak or Bold? Raise your hand. You guys, investing in your business matters, and actually attending matters. We have 70 from this office sign up for Bold, yet we only had 59 show up yesterday, and it's free, right? I have no sympathy for those that fail that don't apply to the business. Okay?
So I was actually going to mention Bold. So one thing that I have picked up on a lot is realtors like to talk. And I remember in Bold, telling isn't selling. So once I took Bold and realized, oh, I just talk a lot and it doesn't actually make me money. You know, being intentional, yes, text, but when you text someone, you're not going to get the information that you get on a phone call. Some people only text. I get it.
Text is easier.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get the same information.
But you're not going to find out that, oh, by the way, yeah, you know what? My cousin is looking in the gallery. People that we know that we've just been working with will say, oh, I forgot. I didn't even think about you guys. You know, you should call my mother-in-law because she really needs, and I'm thinking, yeah, give me her and they will. They want to help you. They like you. They like working with you. So telling isn't selling. Whatever you do, we use MailChimp. We use social media. I would love to talk to you about social media because my background is more of a marketing. When I came on with Kevin, that was sort of what I did for him before I got licensed. Just posting a listing on Facebook will not work. I agree with Michael. Do not just say, great new listing in Greatwood. That does nothing for you. You need to be engaging and not markety, because one thing I heard once was people don't care about your successes. They care about your failures. They connect with, and I'm not saying say, oh, I failed, but what I'm saying is,
we're going to ask you that question in a minute, by the way.
Nobody wants to see, you're not going to get engagement from just posting a link to a listing. You're going to get engagement by posting a picture and asking a question and make it interactive. So get with me later because I could talk to you about social media a long time.
We're going to actually have this as a question coming up. Go ahead, Jennifer.
I do a lot of volunteering. I'm on 2 rodeo committees, and I also volunteer at my daughter's school. So that's really where my main lead generation is. I did a ton of open houses. I lived at open houses every weekend, whether it was Saturday or Sunday, from 2 to 4 or 1 to 3. That was me. I didn't make cookies, so that doesn't work. But I just made sure to follow up, and I made sure to use technology when I was at those open houses, so I looked professional. I had my iPad. I put the app on there, Open House Pro, I think that's the name of the app. And it automatically sends them an email right out the gate. So they already have your contact information. You don't have to print flyers for days, for stuff like that. The less is more in my world. I'm a single mom myself, so that's how I lead generate.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, I do things.
This again, guys, best lead generation method or tool. Go looking at.
Okay, I do things a little bit differently. I'm not a phone person. My background is community relations, so I apply that to this career now. So you'll never see me in the office because I'm always out in the field. I'm pounding pavement. I'm involved in probably 3 or 4 different organizations. I do 1 or 2 networking events that I host along with other sponsors every month. So that also gives me a reason to go in and personally give the referral source an invitation. So I actually like the face-to-face interaction, and that's what most of my day consists of. Social media, I hired somebody to do that for me. It's very important. I'm not a 10 at it, so I delegate that out. So me, it's more of marketing in person.
Guys, that person who does that, all your Facebook stuff, it's not expensive, and it's not time-consuming if you give it to someone else. Go ahead.
I use a combination of everything up here. PUTP, pick up the phone, period. You've got to make the calls. Yes, you can text. People typically text because they are afraid to make the phone call. Texting because the other person wants a text is one thing. Texting because you're afraid to pick up the phone is completely different. So, and by texting, you only get 7% of the conversation. That's it, 7% of the conversation. By talking to them, you're at least getting an additional 38%, and then in person, the additional 55% from your nonverbal communication. Pick up the phone, talk to them, have a conversation with them. Social media, as Michael said, absolutely. You use it, but don't post and say, oh, I've been working this whole thing, and I've posted all these listings, and nobody's calling me. Well, you're not engaging. There's a difference between posting and engaging. So social media is a very strong platform, but pick up the phone. That is the key. You've got to make the phone calls.
And Michael has the position of the master negotiations expert that we used to have a guy, Frankie, used to come in here. He's taken that over. So his background is on the negotiation side at a very high level. Thank you. Drew.
My best lead generation tools are a combination, as other people have mentioned. I'm big into community service, 30 years of volunteering for different organizations. I'm on 8 different boards and committees at the moment. So I would say, that sphere of influence there. Open houses, I do them every weekend, and just in farming my neighborhood. And just again, it's find something to join in your community. Do it with excellence, and people will associate your name with doing a great job. And I think that's what my neighbors and associate with me.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin.
All right, so she already touched on the social media aspect and engagement. One of the things that I know that has been probably the biggest pay dirt, if you will, has been community engagement. We sponsored one disc golf tournament, and we had, I'd say probably at least 5 separate major transactions off of that one disc golf
How
tournament.
much did it cost you to sponsor?
$1,500 maybe? Oh, $500. $500
And
we
what was
sponsored
the
it.
volume of real estate that came from that roughly?
I mean, probably at least 1.5 at least.
Okay, the equivalent of $45,000 in commissions. Gross.
Yep.
Okay. Good. Oz?
So write down the word rope. Rope. R-O-P-E.
Oh, rope.
Referrals, open house, property desk, and education. That's my lead generation system. When I first, and I stick to it. Referrals, don't be afraid to ask your friends to help for business. Your friends are a great referral source. Open houses, 67% of the people that walk through your open house, did you know that real estate people that are doing open houses are afraid to ask for the business? They'll ask you if you're working for an agent, but they don't actually say, let me have your business. And I've tested that theory. I read it once in a book. I didn't believe it. I went tagless through several open houses, and not one single person asked me for the business. At every single open house, I ask for the business. I get it. Property desk, even when you're not working property desk, go to the person that's working the property desk. Hand them your business card and say, hey, I've got a full tank of gas. I'm working at Town Square. If you need to push a lead to somebody, call me. I'll go open that door for them. Give them a referral fee. You've got a listing right there, and you've got a client. Educate yourself so you can educate your client. They know you know your business, and they'll work with you. They'll stick with you, and then you'll get your referrals.
For me, I think it's networking because I'm not really a phone person either. And when I moved to Houston 3 years ago, I knew 5 people, so I didn't have a whole lot of people to call on.
Utah.
But I work my community, and that's the expat community. I've joined a lot of groups that are predominantly expats who are involved. And I'm always working my leads overseas because I've had 2 good referrals from people in Scotland. Because everyone knows someone who's moving to Houston. It's very transient. People come and go all the time. And eventually, someone will know someone who's moving here. And if you're keeping in touch with them all the time, then you will get the referral. And just join, go to everything you're invited to. That's what I do. I talk to everybody because it's my personality that sells me. And that's what I enjoy doing, talking to people. So that's what I did.
So this is kind of fun because Frank, or Lipping, was sitting in the back. He's so shy. We're going to pull him up. How long have you been in the business, Frank?
I started as October last year.
So he's been in for a year. He's at 4.6 million. Now his business is heavily weighted on buyers. One little listing, but this guy stays out of the limelight, sits in the back. We're like, Frank, we invited you to sit up front, and he got the smallest chair to sit in the back. So
I'm too hungry right now.
What?
I'm too hungry right now.
You're too hungry. We got food.
Yeah. I'm done. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about where did you get your business from, because you've had astronomical success less than a year in.
Yeah, we can say I started work at October last year, but I have nothing to do at the first 3 months of my work. I just I think I sell the first one home to my best friend, and after that I do not have one client because all my best friends do not need to get a home at that time. And what I can do is
how do you reach them? Who are you calling right now? What does that look like? When you got your license.
Yeah.
Now who are you calling? The people you know?
My business is I drive my car and take a look at I just preview the house by myself, and I think in the first 3 months I didn't meet anybody, because right now I understand that we need to make an appointment. We need a company with our agent, right? I just want to take a look, and I maybe meet a client there, but actually they are nobody there.
But where are the clients coming from? Where do you find these people? Because you've had a bunch of sales.
I will tell you right now. Yeah. And
you closed 11 deals in the last 11 months.
Yes.
Your first 11 months.
Yes. It's from my second client. And after I spent my time about 2 months or 3 months, I didn't find anybody. But finally, I'm lucky I found one. They are just stopped by the house, and they want to find a new house, but they do not have an agent. And I spent all my time to them about 1 month, and after that, they just refer their friends to me. And what I do right now is I change my way. I drive about 200 miles per day.
You drive 200 miles per day?
Yes, right now. I will tell you where's this client from. After I have about 3 or 4 clients, and they have some friends just from China. They are new immigrants. Maybe they need to buy a house, but maybe they do not need. And what they need is they need to set up their life in Houston. They need to buy a car. They need to maybe rent a house, and maybe they need to get a driver license. But this is not important. What I do is I didn't tell them I'm a realtor. And what I tell them is that I can help them set up their life in Houston. So I drive 200 miles per day to just they need to go somewhere, they need to go get some food, or they need to just get a driver license, something like this. Yeah. After this.
So you help them get set up.
Yeah.
in their new
After this,
land.
they told me, okay, we need a house, and I think that.
I can help you.
Yeah. To buy a home is very easy for me, because you just show them there is a house. Okay, we will buy it, and it's about. Normally, it's only about 3 days. I just show them 3 or 5 houses is okay, but before that, before my real job, I spent maybe 1 or 2 months time to help them set up their life.
So he came from a place of contribution first. Help them, and they want to help you, and they're going to buy a house. They're Chinese, so they probably paid cash. You know?
Yes.
Sorry. It's the way of life. Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, so what we want to know now is, quickly, just tell us, you've been in the business a little while, what is your biggest rookie mistake? Okay? Just go through it. And everybody's got something that they've done funky. just one. Biggest rookie mistake. Go, start with you, Joe.
Okay. It's almost hard to think of which one, right? It's like
pick one that they can
one
listen to it and they will say, "Oh, thank goodness I heard that."
I know. I would say during my first year, it was about 6 months in, and I had a client. I'm an Aggie as well, so I had.
Hey, don't hold that against him. Stop that.
I had a client who was also an Aggie, so we had that bond, and his dad died during our transaction, so it was somebody I really cared about. Anyways, on the net sheet, there's a place for 6% total commission. There's a very confusing way it's worded, but it's talking about the selling agent. You know, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but a buyer's agent's also called a selling agent, if you didn't know. So anyways, I put 3% total on the net sheet rather than 6%. So I basically gave these guys a bad net sheet. And they were my sellers, and we should have, day before closing, they get the final closing sheet, and they were surprised that they were going to owe money, not get money at the closing. And so I just sort of like, my heart fell, and I was like, oh my God, I
so
totally
what could
screwed
you have
that
done
one up.
differently?
What did you do?
Test.
So, is it not coming through? So, let me tell you what happened though. So I actually gave that guy all of my commission on the deal. So I gave the guy $12,000. And as a new agent.
Unfortunately, Joey's made his money as a new agent.
Oh my God, I needed it so bad then too. But it was the right thing to do, and I knew that doing the right thing was going to go so far for that client.
Was it your cap?
Yeah, I was going to cap on that deal too.
We all went on a trip. He just took off immediately after that. He said, "I got to focus and lead generate," and I was so impressed with that. That was a hell of a trip you missed, though. It was awesome. Oh my God!
Thanks for rubbing it in. Yeah.
I'm not sure whose feedback is. Everybody, turn off their mics for a second. Testing. Still going? It's you, Alex. Test.
Oh, you want me to switch? Okay.
Okay. Well, very good. Thank you. Giving back all that money was a mistake, or not watching the net sheet prior to that, so you didn't have to.
Yeah, not watching the net sheet, but more specifically, I would say, have the title company do it for you if you can, because those guys.
They're actually pros at it.
Yeah.
And have your coach, if you have a coach, take a look at everything as well. Look, if you're new, you want to look like the king. Sometimes you want to peacock in there and act all bad. Don't. Right? I did that. My first deal, I'm at the, gee whiz, I remember this. Rookie mistake. Here's my rookie mistake. Let me help set the tone. I'm with first house. I sold $76,500. And I represent the sellers, and the buyers came in, and they're paying cash. And we're at the walkthrough, and I'm there in front of my clients, looking so cool. And the buyer's agent is there with his clients, and I said, when are you guys going to do the appraisal? We're going to close in like 3 days. And he took me aside, and he says, hey, this is a cash deal. We don't need an appraisal. He could have done that in front of them. and killed me, but he didn't. There's a lot of rookie mistakes out there. That's one of 10,000 that I've got.
Let me just add one more thing to that. I think that was one learning, but the more important learning was don't ever treat it like a transaction. Because if I had been worried about my own commission on that deal and just tried to salvage that and get that money, I would have never gotten that client for life. And that guy sent me 3 referrals since then, even though that huge mistake that I made. So that's somebody I did the right thing for, and it pays off in the end if you treat it like a relationship and not a transaction.
That's kind of an Aggie thing, though, too, doing the right thing. Go ahead, Jess.
My biggest rookie mistake, I'm not sure if it's going to be a good thing or not, but if you look at my chart, most of my business is buyers. So I'm kind of dealing with, I don't know if it's growing pains because I'm not like, have a lot of production like maybe other people do, but just allowing my business to be heavily based on buyers because I only have so much time. And so I'm dealing with right now, I have 8 buyers and I'm going crazy because it's just too much.
That's honestly, how do you go on vacation if you have 8 buyers?
I can't.
If you can have 50 listings and be surfing in Hawaii, though. That's how cool it is. You got 30,000 other agents selling your listings, but she gets it and she's working on it. We see the last month you had one close.
Yeah.
Very good. So being maybe a little bit more listing based, maybe using one of the 50 tools we provide you on listings exclusively at KW Memorial.
Yeah, balance yourself.
Man, I don't even know where to start, Mike.
Give me your best.
But I've learned from a lot of doing things wrong. And one thing is when you get started as an agent, you have all this technology and stuff out there to you. I mean, pretty much Facebook is almost geared towards you, isn't it? How many of you guys, should we see should raise of hands, how many times do you see some new advertised the latest and greatest lead generation tool on Facebook especially? The biggest mistake that I've made in my business is I've tried out all of them pretty much. And the funny thing is there's no magic bullet. There's no magic way of doing things. I use a combination of ways to generate interest and to identify people in my text messaging, my social media. And the biggest thing, they have to raise their hand before I actually have to get on the phone and call them. The biggest thing you can do as an agent, biggest number one, if I could save you thousands of dollars right now, don't jump into everything. Do what's simple and basic, automate it later on, get them on the phone now. So don't try to do too many things.
Don't overthink it and wait till it's perfect to go do it.
Yeah.
I got a lot of professional students. You
Yeah.
got to go out and do it. And we know what the actions are.
And that's the big thing that you got to worry about. Don't spend your money on things that will not bring you money. And believe me, there's 100 people calling you every day for lead generation and saying, you're like Zillow will call you. You need to have $12,000 to pay for Zillow for the year. Don't do that. Get your first 10, 15, 20 deals in line. Build up your bank. Because, guys, there is going to come a time when your business is not going to be running in this business. And that's when you get frustrated and you want to kick up your heels and quit. But you need to start also thinking about this as a business. Plan your way of doing it. Don't add new things to your budget if you haven't, or in the middle of the year when your budget's...
David and I have had this conversation.
So at the end of the day, like I said, the biggest thing I could save anybody in here, get started on what's working. Start that lead generation, master it, then add to it or split test it. But don't add new technology that's not going to help you. You're going to be spending thousands of dollars. And I don't want to put anybody in this room in that situation.
Awesome. Go ahead, Al.
I like that. So I'm kind of like at the opposite phase in my career right now, where even though I've been doing this for almost 2.5 years, I was following up on the people that I knew I could close at that moment. I'm really good at anticipating and reading and recognizing who are the people I should be going after now to generate business now. And one thing that I'm kind of struggling with right now is I'm sort of taking a step back and reorganizing my business. So like David said, I'm kind of reworking my systems. And Joseph Diasana, who's one of my mentors, he keeps telling me you have to sometimes go slow before you can go fast again. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm like, I had a really great summer. I've got, 12 new listings coming up in the next couple of months. I've got a lot generating, but I'm almost getting to a point where I'm a little overwhelmed because my systems aren't in place with where they should be.
Alex, are you using a transaction coordinator?
Not yet, no. So that will be my next step. I have a goal for when I want an assistant, but that's kind of the spot that I'm in right now. And it's a very uncomfortable position to be in because everyone's saying, oh, you've done so well, but now I kind of feel like I'm all over the place right now, and I know I sort of have to rein it back in. So to David's point, for 2.5 years, I did it on the fly, and it seemed to work, but now I'm realizing there needs to be systems for everything because I am treating this like my business. So I don't know if that's a mistake or not. It's just kind of learning how I need to sort of readjust.
Let me give you one sentence, everybody. Page 129 of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. That's when the systems start. Everything she just said, it's all covered. When you're getting ready to expand, it's all covered. When you're getting ready to build your organizational chart, it's in there. How about my lead generation? It's all in there. That's what those systems are for. Unfortunately, most of you have the book, and many of you have not even looked at those pages. The first 129 pages make you feel good about getting your license. Why didn't I do this earlier? And then it gets into the systems, and it's laid out crystal clear. My biggest agents use it. You should as well. Thank you, though. That's very honest.
Yes, no, and one more thing I wanted to say, trust your gut. If you feel like this is not the right person for you to be working with, 9 times out of 10, you're right.
Not company, person. The person you're dealing
yes,
with.
yes,
We're all
clients. But I've had to give up some clients this year, which I've never had to do because I realized that they were stressing me out more than I needed, and it just wasn't worth it. Just say no.
Well, the cool thing is when you have a lot of business, you have the ability to fire somebody. When you don't, you're stuck. Go out and get more clients so you can fire the ones that are just draining you and taking you away from your family. Our philosophy is God, family, then business. So if we get lots of business going, we can get rid of the ones that are sucking us dry, right?
Okay, so my brief advice is the word consistency. Be consistent, whether that means setting a schedule that you know you can achieve every day. Whatever that means for you guys, do it. Do it every day. Treat it like a business. I get frustrated because I'm tired of picking up the phone or seeing something on Facebook or seeing that I sent an email out, darn, just 2 weeks after these people just bought a new house and moved to Houston. They would have used us. If I had been consistent in our email campaigns, in our communication, in the, what was your code word? PUTP? Pick up the phone every day. Every day. Kevin and I have the ability to make a ridiculous amount of money because of all the people that we know, and we're not doing it. We need to be more consistent. We're great, but we could be so much greater. You have all these people at your fingertips that you don't even realize. And just pick up the phone. Just be consistent every day, whether it's clothes that we learned from Aussie or E-Edge or whatever your system, an Excel spreadsheet. Get it on something, and every day say, from 1 to 3, I'm doing this, and do it. Don't let anyone else ring your doorbell or come and distract you. Say, I have a job, this is what I'm doing. Be consistent. You will be successful.
The Millionaire Real Estate Agent says like 9 to 12, 9 to 11 works. If you can just call from 9 to 11, people you know, people you're following up on, because then your day doesn't get behind you. Sometimes 1 to 3, you can get sucked out.
But don't get stressed out. Like, that's where I'm like, oh, I missed the lead generation time this morning. Okay, do it anyway. Okay, just pick up the phone and say, today was not very good. Tomorrow I'm going to do better, and just do it.
Yeah.
Mine would be ask questions. If you don't know the answer, because right now you probably don't.
So that's your biggest rookie mistake is asking questions?
Is when I didn't ask questions. And I just assumed. And we all know what that means when you assume anything.
So what came of that? Is there any particular instance?
Well, there was a lot. I couldn't really pinpoint one thing, but I will piggyback Joey really quick. I did have an issue with a transaction where I failed to include the non-realty item addendum, and I ended up buying a brand new fridge and washer and dryer for my really good friends. And that was a really big rookie mistake. So that, and it was a great transaction because I was on their buy side and their sell side.
So you could afford it.
Yeah, I could, but still.
Okay, I think my biggest mistake, and it took me too long to figure this out, is to try to do everything myself was not working. So I had to learn how to delegate things out and build a team, which ever since I implemented that, my business has grown tremendously.
When you say a team, who are we talking about?
Well, I have a transaction manager now. I have
a coordinator that, guys, you get a deal, $325 will take it from escrow to done. All the mistakes on the paperwork, they are the ones that do it.
And you pay it at closing. So
yeah.
you're making money. I do not like putting all I hate doing documents.
Ugh.
I don't like the green sheet. I'm sure, a lot of people are really good at that, but that's not my strong suit. So I'm delegating that out now and focusing on lead generation. So that I've got a designer now. I could be great at staging, but I don't want to go buy all the items and go stage my client's home. So I have a designer that does an accessory package for me. Depending on the list price, we'll figure that part out. But just building a team, a good lender. I'm trying to think who else. A contractor. I've got a really good handyman. And it just took me a long. I've got somebody doing my social media now, and it is very inexpensive. And she gets on there every day and does my social media. People all run into them and they'll say, "Oh, your post was so funny." I have no idea what it was, but I'm like, "Oh yeah." But I mean, you just have. You cannot do everything. Focus on what are you a 10 at. Whatever you are a 10 at, you need to be doing. Anything else, delegate out.
And we're going to do lead generation as your 10, right? We're going to take questions at the end. All right, Michael?
Several rookie mistakes, Joey. Thank you for bringing that one up. I actually have one here. Make sure Joey tells his story. And the fact that he did the right thing is a big, big deal. One of my biggest mistakes was thinking that all Keller Williams were the same. I'll tell you straight out. It took Joey 3 months to convince me that everything he was telling me about this place was true. I'm like, dude, you're missing something. There is no way in the world that it's a lower cap, that it's lower fees, they offer more technology, they do. You're missing something. I mean, how many times do we have that conversation? A ton. And finally pulled the trigger, and thank God I did. Yep, absolutely.
Go tell all your friends at non-KW offices, please.
And my assistant used to work for Remax. Was it Remax? Anyway, she just came over here, and she is dumbfounded at Keller Williams. She's like, this is the most amazing. Why would anybody be anywhere else? And she literally came from running a 40-person team over to here. So it's a big deal where you're planted, and I can promise you the grass is not greener. You are planted on the greenest side that you will ever find, not only at KW, but at KW Memorial. So keep that in mind if you're ever thinking about leaving.
All right, Drew. Thank you, Michael.
No problem.
I think you might be off.
How's that? Is it better?
Better.
Certainly made a lot of rookie mistakes. I think the one that keeps coming up for me is not time blocking enough for myself. As I mentioned earlier, I'm on a billion committees and boards, can't seem to say no, but that builds my business. I feel like I work 7/24, like probably many of you in this room, and I'm seeing the success of it all, but at times you just go, oh my God, I'm just running constantly. So, I mean, literally, it's not a matter of doing fun stuff. Sometimes you just I need the time block to do laundry. So I'm starting to think about the transaction coordinator and, potentially how an assistant could help me. So, I guess maybe the point is you just never stop learning and growing in all of this and of things that you can do to elevate your business.
All right, so my biggest mistake was I looked at this, what we're doing here, what every one of you here is doing as a job. And it's not a job, it's a business. And if you treat it like a job, in my case, I was treating it like a part-time job and giving it half of my effort and splitting my time in between other things and this, and I wasn't giving it my all. If you look at my numbers from everything before Keller Williams specifically Memorial, I mean, they were abysmal. I come here, I get education, I get focused, I bring on a great team member, and then another transaction coordinator, and now our new team member in Dallas, and it's like starting to expand. And
we have MLS in Dallas, right, from this office. So we have 7 areas that that I pay extra to have MLS, so we can have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 agents utilize it. You think that's not a good return, but it is, because it allows them to expand here. So as long as I got somebody using it, I'll do it if they're producing.
Yeah. So so that's the first rookie mistake, is treating it like a job instead of a business. And 2, this was not so much a rookie mistake. This was actually very recent. So I guess I'm still a rookie. But exactly to her point, know when to fire a client. We had a recent client that was that sucked the life out of us. And
I think this is the one you told me about.
This was the one we had a meeting about.
Yeah.
And
it's bad.
It was very bad, and so much so that like we did everything in our power to like please this lady, and we thought everything was like copacetic at the end of the transaction.
That was a mean lady.
And then she went and went to KW Corporate and wrote this nasty long letter about how like I need retraining and all. Like it was just like I had to realize that there's something with her, not us. But it was that was tough. Yeah.
Who advised you that?
I'm part of several private secret Facebook realtor groups, and I just said, this is what I'm experiencing. Does anyone know what I should do? And they all said, fire her
immediately.
The listing was $130,000.
$135. It was not worth our time.
$1 million listing is not worth. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Say no.
Yeah, don't let it do that to you.
Get other business to replace it.
Yeah.
We can say no all day, but gotta
more
replace it.
more lead generation. Improve the quality of your clients. Refer out or fire the ones that don't work, and don't let them drag you down. I know it's not that easy whenever you're first starting, and you need every dollar you can get, but yeah, refer it out. Take a little 20% cut and move on with your life. And run it like a business.
It's a good rookie mistake.
Gosh, I'm the king of rookie mistakes. I jumped in. One of the things that when you're new at Keller Williams has this great safety net. So you're able to jump in the deep end, and you will not drown. And that's a wonderful, fabulous thing. And that's what I love most about this environment here. And it's probably not at every Keller Williams. It's probably within the confines of this building. And that's one of the great things that I love. And I took advantage of it. I jumped in the deep end and I swam from day one, and I loved it. And I encourage each and every one of you that are new to jump in the deep end. The water is fine. It's nice. And trust me, every time Marilyn sees one of my paperworks come across her desk, she pops a few Xanax and drinks a whiskey, and then she does what she has to do to get through my paperwork.
You guys, Ozzy comes to our Toastmasters every Thursday from 10:30 to 11:30. Come to it. Look how articulate he is. He's off the cuff. He's always like that. Come to Toastmasters. It'll help you be Ozzy.
So I've had to fire a client, and with my client, I give a action survey to all of my clients, and it's basically, how do you want me to treat you? And it also comes with how I want you to treat me, because we're a partnership. We are a marriage, and it's it's our contract of communication. It's our contract of how we're going to do business. And it's how we set forth our relationship. And it works for 99.9% of our relationship. I do have client that breaks that relationship, and you have to bring them to the floor and remind them that we're partnerships. We're taking this journey together to achieve their goals. And if they detour off, you have to bring them back. And if they continue to detour off, eventually you have to say, I'm sorry, you're not sticking to our agreement. I have to let you go. And in one position, I had to. And this was a very expensive $2.5 million thing. And I stuck it out. And finally, I had to terminate him. And
Not literally.
He's still in the trunk of my car. It's not like he's totally terminated. But I terminated him. And at 6 p.m. every day after that, he would call me and say, you really terminated me too early. And for a month, until I finally had to say, stop calling me, find someone else. But you have to. And because you can't let people rent free space on your brain, because they do. And then it rents free space on your other clients. And you have to have the nerves to say no, no matter what the price tag is. And you also have to stand up for your other clients and your clients in everything. And if that means reaching into your pocket to cover a deal for a promise of someone else, do it.
Lee?
For me, it was waiting too long to get started. I kept telling myself that I needed to take more classes, that I wasn't ready, and it's like passing your driving test. You don't actually learn how to drive till you're out there driving by yourself. And you really just need to, don't be afraid of the phone calls, just jump right in and do the lead generation, and the rest will happen.
Very good. Thank you. Frank?
For me, I think
Big mistake. What's your biggest mistake?
Yeah, it's do not spend too many time on the social media. I think on the first several
Not
months.
spend too much time on
Yeah.
social media.
On the first several months, I take and put advertisement on the website, and I got so many contact from the WeChat, like the WhatsApp from the international bears. But I talk with them just tap word about 4 to 5 hours every night, and nobody meet me and nobody buy from me.
Nobody bought a house from it?
No, never.
Okay.
But right now I already fix it. If I got a contact, we must meet as soon as possible at the first time and talk face to face. And then I find they will help me and buy a house. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. All right. So now we're going to get through quickly, because we want to get through a couple more questions. What does your day look like? And do you get dictated by what's going on in your day? How do you keep control of your day? Joey?
Sure. Just one thing to add on to some of the things they were saying about the lead generation and terrible clients. We all have them, but I heard this once: lead generate so you don't have to tolerate. So have other clients in, also don't just focus on that one client that's sucking all of your time. Have other clients as well. So definitely lead generate. So my day generally looks like I try to get to work early. I try to start the day with exercise, get the mindset right by reading, learning all the time, trying to grow, always be in a learning mindset. Start the day in a good, thought, thinking correctly, and then I call from generally 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. or so. And then I have the afternoon is filled with appointments. I have a team as well, so we generally have like a daily meeting where we talk about things that are going on, things that are under contract. We also plan short term and long term. I have a goal list, an annual goal list that I review with Michael, and we break it down into monthly and weekly goals as well. So every week it's focused on a much longer term goal, and all of the smaller things along the way are geared towards achieving those bigger goals.
Let's talk about it. Have you heard of the 411? So, in this, Joey, what's your 411? What is, explain what that is real quick.
Yeah, 411 is basically you have 4 different categories. You have business, personal, financial, and then I guess health or physical goals. And you basically break down all of those different goals. So they start very big and high level, like what do I want to do this year? How much volume do I want to get? What are the health goals I want to have? Do I want to have goals for my family, spiritual, things like that? And then you break them down on a monthly, in order to achieve that 12-month goal, what do I need to do this month? And then even further, what do I need to do this week So it's a way to really break down a much larger goal and make it more achievable by breaking it into smaller pieces.
All about chunking and accountability, and you do
Yeah.
it so well. Best 411
Thank
I've
you.
ever seen in my life.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So, yep.
I'll tell you how my calendar looks, because right now it's the way that really.
Well, what
and
does your day look like? Tomorrow's going to happen. We
Okay.
hope.
So when I wake up, I actually am subscribed to Inman. I think we get a free subscription. They have really, really valuable information on there. So when you wake up, if the first thing you do is get on Facebook, I suggest that you open up an article from Inman, because you really will learn a lot. So I do that, and then I come into the office from about 8 to 11. I lead generate. I try to lead generate. And then from 11 to 12, I do my follow-up. So I log into my CRM system and see who I need to get back to. And then the afternoons are just open for showings or meetings with sellers, buyers, things like that.
Guys, when she says lead generate, now what does that mean? You'd be like, gosh, I haven't really done anything, so how do I lead generate? Who do I call? Who in here has gotten a call from the staff in the last 2 weeks? A few of you. By the end of the month, all of you will have, because they are required to call everyone in here and just see how you're doing. Maybe ask you to sign up for the app or whatever, right? That is a rule. If they don't, what happens, Brenda? We're going to let somebody go, right? We may have to do that, but it is their job to make sure that everybody in our company gets called every month. This is your job, is lead generation, or you're going to fire yourself. No one is handing you business. Even these guys, they've been doing it for a while and you see some great success. No one is just handing it to them. They still have to ask for it. And we have to ask for it, right? We all have to do this. If you don't, you're going to fire yourself out of this business. And that's the whole big push. So thank you. So you lead generate a couple hours a day? David?
Yeah, actually, the first thing I do in the morning is I get up and I get my daughter up. Okay. First, who has kids in here? All right, it's possible, guys. Trust you. Trust me, it is. So I take my daughter to school every morning. So by the time I get up, I'm pretty much already did probably about a 3-mile run. And I've already kind of looked over my emails, sorted out the stuff that's junk and the stuff that I need to focus on. By about 8 o'clock, I'm just looking over calls. I do it a little different. I don't call in the morning, I'll call in the afternoon. And the reason being is because my clients are more effective calling between 6 and 8. But I call them between my appointments too, and I also have people that are doing that for me. But it's not as hard as it is. You don't need to have a dedicated person 24/7 making these calls. There's an app that you can get. I don't want to really start pushing out technology, but it's called Contractually. How many of you have heard that? It is probably one of the most interesting apps that you will ever have, because it takes all of your contacts and does exactly what Mike just said. Makes you contact them. You set the parameters of how many times a month that you want to, but it automatically defaults to calling them once a month. Every contact in your phone. Contractually. It integrates with your Google account, and it'll tell you exactly when to call them, and it gives you a list of everybody to call in the morning. You do that, you get a check plus. That's it. As simple as that. You don't have to call them to say, hey, I'm a realtor. You don't have to call them and say anything other than, hey, my name is David. If you know the person, just call them. By the way, at the end of the call, just say, hey, if you're looking at buying and selling real estate, please give me a call or point me in the right direction for the right person. I give out referrals. I give out money for referrals. It's my marketing fee. And I get so much business and people calling me just to do CMA evaluations just because of that. So yes, lead generation is part of the morning and afternoon deal that I do, but I do it consistently all day. So it's not just one thing. But even if you put 2 hours in a day or 1 hour in a day, being consistent, like it was said over here, being consistent is what you have to do. You miss a day, fine, take a vacation. You need to take a day off during the week, and you need to take 1 day off on the weekend to get your sanity back. Towards the rest of my day, I'm working on my files. I have a transaction coordinator. She handles the file going through. I get it updated, that becomes a problem. Most of the time they take care of it though. And then all I have to do is be able to schedule and spend more time face-to-face with other people. Majority, about 3/4 of my day is spending time sitting in front of somebody else.
Very good. Thank you. Alex.
My day is pretty similar to most people here.
Well, do you calendar it? Do you time block?
Yeah, no, I time block definitely. So what I've been doing that's really helped the last year is setting myself a schedule and goals for each day the night before. So there's no question of what I need to get done the next day. My biggest thing, like Drew kind of said, I feel like I've been running around like a crazy person for the last 2 years. So my goal is to kind of rein it back in. I want to be spending more genuine time with my husband and with my family. So that is my number one. Once I really realized that was my why behind everything that I'm doing, that sort of set the tone for what I need to do on a daily basis, because my goal is when I get home at the end of the day, I want to be done. I do not want to answer any more emails. So if it didn't get done that day, it has to be done the following day. And I understand that's not going to happen all the time, but that is the goal. And that tends to kind of drive me daily to make sure that I'm getting everything done that I need to, instead of waiting until the last minute and trying to do it in the evening or making your calls later. That doesn't work for me. So morning is the gym. I'm usually up by 5:30 at the gym, depending on if I'm at a class, 6:30. Dressed in the office by 9. That's always my goal. Calls are usually from 9:30 to 11:30, so lead generation. I'm currently doing bold and peak right now, so that's been my challenge, and I'm loving it though. I strive off that pressure, so it works for me. But and then after calls, it's notes. So following up with at least 10 handwritten notes. That's my goal every day. Getting those out, and then the afternoons are emails, following up with current clients, and then showings in the late afternoon and early evening. So.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, people. How many of you are not these people who have calendars and schedules and time blocking? Anybody? Okay. I am what not to be like. If we're where we are based on not those things, if we did this, we would be really amazing.
Kevin, you don't lead generate? Or you don't
we
calendar?
don't. No.
Well, no.
Yeah. Well, let Kevin talk about Kevin.
Okay.
Me, my days are insane, and so I make them insane. And you don't do that. Don't be like me.
Well, then pass the mic.
The best thing was putting our son in school where he has to be at school at a certain time. We have to pick him up. So for me, I needed some sort of external deadline to where I have to get him by a certain time, and I don't want to work at night anymore because he's gone during the day. So that's what made me start changing. Don't be like me.
They have the best little baby, little William.
I kind of have to second her on that, Michael, so I'm not going to pass the mic, though, because I do have a little bit of insight. Being a single mom, I take my girls to school. They're there by 8 o'clock, sometimes 8:05. They don't ever
What time
get
does school start?
at 8.
Okay. She's a realtor.
I'm doing good. Luckily, I pay for them to be there, so they don't really hate me that much when they're late. But anyway, no, my days are pretty solid. From 8 to 2, that's my time. At 2 o'clock, I go and sit in carpool for an hour because I want to be the first person in line. I am that mom. But I actually get work done in that hour. That's my only hour of the whole day. No, I'm just kidding, Michael. No, actually, once 8 o'clock hits, I'm usually, if I'm not here or at the Energy Corridor office, I'm at my house. I do my best to write thank you notes. I'm also in Peak, like Alex, and I'm loving it. I've taken Bold twice.
So when she says Peak, just quickly again, Peak Producers, a 12-week class, not a KW program, but I love it.
Yes.
Not a KW program, but I love it and I support it at a high level.
Yes, it's really great if you really want to work by referral and really work for with your sphere of influence, and that's really been wonderful for me because I am a relationship person. So whenever I am dropping my girls off at school, and those days that I am late, I do see other parents and I try to connect with their moms and other even their teachers. I try to set up meetings. Coffees and things like that. So that's kind of my lead generation at school. But I actually have a really tight-knit realtor group here. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about them, but they came from the Met as well. We came over here about a year ago, and they're kind of my work family. And the people around you are really going to be your allies. You have no idea how important that is. Joey and I actually started 2 years ago in Ignite together, and he is one of my biggest resources. If there's a day where I have had a bad day, I can call Joey. So And I also have a group that we go to lunch quite often, and we kind of mastermind. And they're actually, I'm sorry?
They're here.
They're already here. You probably know many of them. But those lunches are really important because I can ask them questions, and it's like a mastermind at least 3 times a week. So we always sit in the back corner of the team meetings. That's our group. So anyway.
Awesome group. All right, Kate.
Okay. Most of my day is spent on lead generation and follow-up. So in the morning, I check my emails and return my phone calls, my text messages that start at 7 a.m. And then I usually go out into the field for about 4 hours and do face-to-face contacts, networking events with my groups. Like I said, I'm on the board of a couple of groups, so we meet. And then I come home and I do follow-up emails and phone calls. I mean, that's really most of my day now.
Very
good. Back to the calendar. If you don't have a calendar, get a calendar. Google has a free one. Apple has a free one. If it's not in your calendar, it does not exist.
Bold law, baby.
Period. If it's not in your calendar, it does not exist. Don't fool yourself to think that you're doing stuff when you're really not doing stuff. Goes back to telling is not selling. You can talk to people all day long, but unless you say at the end, by the way, do you have a go-to person for your real estate needs? Or by the way, do you happen to know anybody who's looking to buy or sell real estate in the near future? Without saying those words at the end, you're just talking and being a secret agent. Don't be a secret agent. I get up in the mornings around 5:30. I get the kids to school by 7:30, maybe 7:40. Come in, on my way in, I call my assistant to go over the day of what's going to happen. From 8 to 11, I'm on the phones, just making calls. Call past cold calls, referrals, those kind of things. From 11 to 12, I did Peak Producer as well. I did Bold. Actually, the first day I got my license, June 3rd is when I signed up for the first step of Bold. And Peak Producer is referrals. Highly recommend both courses. From 11 to 12, I do handwritten notes for the people I talked to that day or people that I've talked to over the weekend that I need to follow up with. From 12 to 1 are follow-ups. And then after that, it's time for appointments or other things that need to happen. But time blocking is the key. And you should be able to go back and look at your calendar at a glance over the month and see, was I actually productive? If your calendar's blank, it doesn't exist. And you can scream it to the heavens, oh, I did all this during this time. Why wasn't it documented?
And with that, let's add to, if you don't add anyone to your database today,
yep.
What did you do today? Right? If you didn't add anybody new to your database, what did you do? If you add somebody every day, you got 365 new people. We divide that by 6, which is the Mets rule, and that's the number of transactions you should get the following year. Just throwing it out there. Thank you. All right, Drew. What does your day look like? Right behind you, if you can throw that back. Great.
Gosh, I'm learning so much from everybody else. I wake up at the crack of dawn, and everything is time blocked in my calendar. But I don't necessarily do it the way everybody else is doing it, where it's very strict. 9 to 11, I do this. But everything is in my calendar, from all the different community groups that I'm in to what I'm doing for my business and who I'm following up with and exactly when I've touched them last. So I'm learning from everybody else, so I don't know that my system works for everybody else, but my system works for me. I also, first thing in the morning during my quiet time with my coffee is I'm pushing out anything that's on that. I mean, literally my calendar is time blocked from 5 a.m. to 11 o'clock at night. Obviously, nobody can get all of that done. So I push out what doesn't have to be done that day or whatever. But make it, find a system and make it work for you is my point.
So as you previously heard, we kind of run our lives a little bit differently. No, so yeah, we have a little boy, and I have this thing programmed on the front screen of my phone of my big why statement, and I put that on my front screen of my phone whenever I first went into Ignite, and it was to give my family the opportunities and experiences that I never dreamed of, and flexibility to enjoy that life with them. And so one thing that we absolutely love is waking up in the morning and spending time with our son, because he's 2 years old. He's going to grow up quick, and it's God, family, work, and that's what we're doing this for. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the first thing. So, I mean, we may take them to school a little late some mornings, but we take the time to spend with our family and bond together and have authentic relationships and love each other. And everything else on the day builds from that. And so, yeah, I mean, we run kind of chaotic, but we do get done what we have to do. And it all comes together. So we are building a business. We've run this like a job, but we're all up here because we're newer agents and we're still growing, just like all of you are. And so yeah, I mean we have imperfections, but that's one thing that has to happen. And then at night everybody's tired and everybody goes to bed, but that morning time is so precious. And then the rest of the day really it breaks down to, I'm reading my emails in the morning, text messages, kind of catching up on what needs to happen for the day. And then typically I make all of my lead generation calls in my truck. Like my quiet time is actually while I'm driving from appointment to kind of consulting appointment. And yeah, I mean, but my quiet time and my reflective time is in my truck, and that's whenever I make all my calls, and then just do my day. So that's
a great layout. KW's philosophy is we want to help you have careers worth having, businesses worth owning, and lives worth living. And that's the whole, I mean, gosh, everyone's life is worth living, but really having a life worth living where we're helping you build a legacy for your family. Maybe little William's going to take over the business one year. Hopefully he does. He'll stay at our company. But it's important to us. Again, a career worth having is one that actually has substance, and that's what we're getting today. Ozzy.
When I go to bed at night, each night, I write down the 5 things that I'm most grateful for that happened that day. When I wake up, that first thing I do is read the 5 things that I was most grateful for the day before, and that puts me in a great mood. It lifts my spirit, and I play the song I'm Feeling Good by Nina Simone before I get out of bed. It reminds me that no matter what's happened in the past, that the birds are going to fly, the fish are going to swim, and I'm feeling good. And I get out of bed, I take my shower, and I go for a 13-mile walk to Minute Maid Park from my house. And I text all of my emails, and I do all of my non-people stuff during that walk. I answer all of my emails, I write all of my notes, and when I get home, I just push send on my computer. All of my personalized letters go out, and then it's time for me to make all of my phone calls. I start those phone calls from my ride into the office. I come into the office, I finish my phone calls, and then I've got all my showings set up, and I go and do my showings. And I do one lunch with one of my clients a day, and then I do a midday afternoon coffee with a client, and then I do more showings, and then I go home and I have a fabulous dance with my partner, and we have dinner. And I love my life. My goal, my passion in life is to live a life that I don't need a vacation from. And I choose that for my life every day, and that's what I do. That's how I live my life. Thursdays are my EBD days, which is external business development. That's when I do my pop buys. That's when I focus on my foundations. I have a foundation called Senior Care Advisors of Texas. And my passion are seniors, and that's why I'm in the real estate business. My challenge to you is to find what your passion is and why you chose real estate. Because if you don't know why you've chosen real estate, then you're already behind on the game. You have to know why you're doing real estate. Because if you don't, you can't convey your passion to your client. And your passion is where it really comes from. That's where your clients know. You want to know what motivates them to move, what motivates them to sell, and what motivates them to buy. They want to know what motivates you. And that's what you have to get across.
Wow. That's a tough act to follow, Ali. Go ahead.
I think I should pass the mic after that. yeah, I'm learning a lot from all these people in the front row who do all the time blocking, because that's something I'm not very good at. I get up in the morning and I do all my emails and follow-up emails and any follow-up phone calls. And then after that, like I say, I'm all about networking. So I'm out there meeting people for coffee, for lunch, for happy hour. I have evening groups that I'm involved in. And that's pretty much what my day looks like. But I really do need to learn the time blocking thing, because I think it would make it a bit more organized and structured, because it's not right now. So don't learn from me. Learn from someone else.
Ozzy, real quick, how long does it take to walk 13 miles?
It's, I've got it down to, for me, because I'm a fast, long-legged walker, if I don't stop and pet and talk to people's dogs, it takes me 42 minutes. I'm a fast walker.
13 miles?
No, I'm sorry. 2 hours and 42 minutes. Sorry, I get up at 4:30 in the morning.
Sorry, I didn't know we hired Flash.
2 hours and 42 minutes. Sorry.
Woo!
What coffee are you But I do stop and pet dogs.
He's like.
The problem is I know everybody's dog's name, but I don't know the people's name.
I gotta share this. At Toastmasters, we said, tell us something that's happened. You know, what's the biggest thing you've had happen to you in the last couple of days? And Ozzy goes to his phone and he looks at it, goes to his calendar, and he goes, oh, I was doing my walk, and this house was burning down, and I went in and I saved the lady, and then she was cooking bacon. It was a bacon fire, and he's like, are you kidding me?
What he drinks in the morning.
No, but here's something funny. I have when I walk, I have a T-shirt that says it says 10 things you should know about 10 things you should know about buying a house. Number 1, call me and I'll take care of the other 9. And it has my phone number. And so I was walking one day and someone said, I'm behind you. And he goes, no. I want to talk to you about real estate. I was like, oh, thank God. You should say that first.
All right, let's get Frank. Frank, tell us what your day looks like. Just quickly, and we'll have one more question after this.
Yes, my calendar is come to the office every morning at 9 a.m. and check the email and respond to the email and do some paperwork, but I never finish it because a real calendar is scheduled by my client. And for example, they just ask me to come their house about, I need to drive about 1 hour to teach them how to use a sprinkler system because they want to change it. And another client told me this night I needed to drop off them to the airport. I need to maybe drive to half an hour. Yeah. So my real schedule is up to my clients. Yeah. But what I want is come to the office at early on the morning and go to showing at the afternoon and do some enjoying.
It's tough when you let your clients dictate your calendar, guys. I was going to say, something you're going to grow into. You want to tighten that up, but it's working for you right now.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so last question. Brenda's like, Michael, you got to catch a plane to New York. I'm taking Garrett to do behind the scenes of a major corporation. I'm trying to build him up. So we're going to something it's really powerful. It's going to be 4 days in New York. So I'm going to get out of here pretty quick, but we have one more question. We just want to get through it quickly. And guys, how was our panel today? Is that awesome? Are you guys going to leave with something? Because otherwise it's not worth it to you. Don't waste your time sitting in something unless you're going to get something from it. Okay? So here's the question. It's a double question. First off, what was the one thing you did that catapulted you to capping? These guys either want to cap or they're capping. They want to get to the next level. What's the one shift you had or the one thing you've been doing consistently and it's got you there? You might have already hit on it. But also, what KW Memorial tools are you using or KW tools are you using that are available to them? Let's start it over here with Michael, and God bless you.
One of the main things, so whenever I first got started back June of last year, it was a lot about systems and trying to get the right systems in place to make sure that, because I have my business plan out to 2022. So I've got that built out, and I wanted to make sure that I had the systems in place to maintain that and continue to grow that versus just kind of jumping in head first and not having a plan laid out. Problem is analysis paralysis, wanting everything to be just perfect, waiting to get out there and finally start doing what I should have been doing from the beginning, worried about what my my friends knew that I was in real estate, but I didn't want to project it because I didn't feel like my business was where it should be from a aesthetic standpoint, from an online presence, so forth and so on. So I waited too long to actually get out there and start building a business. I capped on my 365th day last year. I mean, it was literally June 30th, I capped. This year, I'm capping today at 5 p.m. It's 117 days since my anniversary, so I've got another 7-8 months worth of 100% cap, and so by getting out there and getting in front of people, that was the big difference from 365 days to 117 days.
That's the difference, guys. That's huge.
Everything that we've been saying, don't be a secret agent. Get out there and talk to people. That's the big key. When it comes to technology, shouldn't have put me first. That's the main reason I moved over here from the other KW office, because of the technology that they have here. On the other side, I've heard other agents say, there's so much technology, I don't know where to start. It seems overwhelming. How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. Pick one technology that you're going to learn that month or the next 2 months or the next quarter, and focus on that one technology and become an expert at it. Claris Market Metrics. If you're not using Claris Market Metrics, you are way behind.
Coupled with the listing presentation. Put the two together.
That's on here as well.
Yep.
So, Claris Market Metrics will stop your sellers from arguing with you. They can't argue with the data. The data is what it is. So it's not you just speculating. These are the hard, fast numbers. Incorporate that with the KW Power Lister. Amazing program. Does everything for you. All you do is pull up a couple of stats, plug them in, and you're done. A listing presentation in a box, basically. When you do your listing presentation, make sure that you do it professionally, not half-ass. Circle Picks. If you're not using Circle Picks, they've got a class coming up here in the next couple of days, I think. Get on the training. Yeah, get on the training calendar. Find out when these are happening. Circle Picks markets for you. It's something that's included in your fees here, which are less than other KWs, which is just unbelievable. The KW Rocks app. If you haven't downloaded KW Rocks app, download it now. I used it just the other day to pull up our NAIDS number, because instead of having to call the hotline or ask Brenda or somebody, log onto the app. It's right there. The team meetings, if you're not coming to the team meetings, they do it live on YouTube. Log in. You'd be amazed at what information you can pick up from those team meetings. I don't know of any other KW that does live YouTube meetings, but you don't have to be here. You can still experience and learn everything from the team meetings.
So no pull on the money tree.
Yeah, no pull on the money tree. But the key is utilize the technology, but utilize it in small steps. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't allow yourself to get overwhelmed. Become an expert in one, Claris Market Metrics. Start there, and then continue to move on and down the line.
Great point. All right, guys, we're also going to do a Q&A. Don't worry. I know some of you had some questions. If you've got some, we'll get it through.
Okay, I'm going to try to be fast. As soon as I started treating this like a business, everything, like I said, changed. I was treating it as a hobby before, and as of January, I just said, you know what, I'm going to put everything I have into this, no matter what it takes. Started running it like a business, and things just took off. Once I did my business plan, my marketing plan, I suggest you do that. For some reason, right after I did that and I had my goals in place, I mean, it was almost instant.
It's your Raz kicking in, guys.
So technology, there's so much. Like you said, I'm still learning. I did not know about that Clara's, whatever you said, market metrics. I'm going to look into that. But I do set all of my contacts up on a campaign at least once a month. That way, I'm not doing anything, but they're still getting an email from me, so that way I'm staying in front of their face. Even if it's just somebody I met at a networking event, I put them in there, use it as my database, and even if they're not buying a house right now, they get an email from me. Maybe they know somebody that is, and maybe they will be in the future or selling a house.
Very good. Thank you. Jennifer.
I would say for the what captivated my capping, I targeted the price point that I wanted to be in, and I was doing open houses in that price point. You're gonna get buyers from that price point. You're going to get sellers from that price point. That was a huge eye-opener for me. And, you know, I'm trying to break into more of a luxury market, thank you. And I'm actually succeeding at that because of that. I'm not going to say don't take the 150s or, you know, anything like that. They're great too. But that's been a really big help for me. Work smarter, not harder, that's what they say. And also for tools, I would say just come to the team meetings, come to the office, show up, be here, learn from other agents. That's the biggest tool that I've ever really used here. And Michael, you know, highlighted all those tools, and I use many of those tools. And if I don't know how to use them, I come to the classes. So this market center is incredible compared to all the other ones. I can just say that from personal experience. And I didn't get paid to say that.
Okay, so the three technology or the three Keller Williams pieces that I think are awesome is the KW Power Lister. Be sure to go to that class. The second thing is, I just forgot the second thing. Anyway, but exactly what she said about just being engaged at the office. I learned more about, Michael McSorley saved me the other day, and he just happened to be here, and we ended up having a really great conversation. Like, just be here. Don't work in your pajamas on the couch. Come here.
Don't work in your pajamas here either, guys.
Yeah.
'Cause we have a dress code now.
Come here. Come here, meet people. Like, everyone here is here to help you. So that's my best advice for you. Oh, one of the things that I think, two things. One is that I think why we cap is because we are consistent with the way that we make our clients feel. So the referrals that we get are really good, and they love referring us. People who like working with you will give you a referral. We do pop buys. Jen Tran, I think, was one of our Ignite speakers, and I took sort of inspiration from her, and we developed some really cute pop buys. And then you tell people that you're doing pop buys, and they're like, wow, you do that for your clients? So it's just, don't keep it a secret, like, make it fun. And people love little reminders that they mean something. So pop buys beget referrals. And then the final thing I would say is find your niche. Really, Kevin's niche, he's got great construction knowledge. He used to be custom builder. Whatever you don't have to be a builder. Whatever your thing is, provide value to your client, because you're the only one that can provide that value. Anyone can put a house on MLS. What are you providing that's different? And, go make yourself known to clients who need that.
That's big. The number one agent in Philadelphia 5 years ago, he's retired now, he did one thing. He became the best condo salesperson in all of Philadelphia, high end. He did one thing. He branded himself as the Condo King. What made him the Condo King? Nothing. What made the Queen of Probate here the Queen of Probate? She sold one probate, and then she sold a bunch more. After she labeled that, shot a video in our green screen room, and we shot it out to 400 probate attorneys. What makes you the pro? I have someone right now who's focusing on all the lender programs that support the military. There's about 9 different programs you can do, and so they're focusing on being the pro in this. It takes about an hour to learn them all. An hour. Dedicate your time to something, rodeo or whatever it's going to be, focus on it, and just dominate. Thank you, Alex.
I think two kind of things that you guys both said. Instead of price point, I focused on neighborhoods. So I picked my top 3 neighborhoods that I saw I wanted to do business in. And granted, I was being selfish. I lived in one of them, but I also knew that I was going to relate to the clients who were coming to those neighborhoods. Because of my age, I wouldn't necessarily relate to somebody looking in certain areas. But I knew the Heights, Shady Acres, Rice Military, Oak Forest, those were people of similar age and similar demographic looking for things and listing properties. And I knew I could relate to those people, which really helped drive my business. Because as I got one lead from an open house, which turned into a buyer, which then 2 years later has turned into listings, those people know each other in those neighborhoods. My name now comes up where it's crazy, where I get referrals or calls where people said, hey, I saw your sign down the street at another listing. You know, by the way, my neighbor knows you because you helped so-and-so. It's amazing how that's kind of all coming together. So really focus in on certain areas and get good at those areas. You know what new construction is coming up down the street because you saw it was being built 6 months ago. The second thing is get a mentor. If you guys don't have an agent, a top producing agent, or a coach that you can go to, I highly recommend that you get one. I have 3 agents in this office who are my go-tos for everything, and I truly am so thankful for the time that they have taken with me because I've learned everything from them. I don't reinvent anything. I steal all of their ideas, and I let them figure it out, and I just kind of take it from them and go from there, and it's really helped make my business successful.
One resource that you guys need to really take in consideration in this particular market is this one right here. Mike Bozart, honestly, tell you the truth, out of all the brokers I've ever been around, I've been doing this for 13 years, but I just got back into it 2 years ago. So in general, Mike Bozart is probably one of the biggest resources that you guys have that no other market center's got. And honestly, I got to give you a round of applause, Mike.
Thank you.
This is the most dynamic broker that I've ever seen. He has the time to talk to you as well. You have to schedule time with Brenda. But I mean, and then we got Cindy Bluestein is another one. I mean, she's a dramatic resource. You got some heavy hitters in this office that have come over, and if they're big heavy hitters that have seen the benefit of having these people right here, these veterans that are phenomenal what they do. We're just rookies up here again. But at the same point, these are people that have already seen the value of seeing these people in action. That's why they're here. 600 agents plus in this office.
We just crossed over 700 guys.
Sorry.
But it doesn't feel like it.
700 agents. 700 agents. Can't be wrong. Anyways, on the other side of this deal, somebody got that. Anyways, on the other side, the technology you've got here, I think the programs Mike's put in place, listing agent, the buyer's agent programs that you got, the referral agent programs, the app, all of those are great. Even look at, so one of the ones is the Homekeeper app. Yeah. That thing has got me more business, guys, because I've referred just people just on the street. Hey, you need a carpenter? Hey, I got a great one. I just looked through the app, even though they don't have it.
It's free.
And I guarantee you, they look at you like you're a rock star in the industry, and then they're calling you back in about 2-3 months. Hey, by the way, I was thinking about putting my house on the market. I'm like, I'm a great agent. When you want to try it, let's sit down and talk. So those are some great resources. I mean, there's 100 things. There's more than enough things out here that you can look at. The office meetings are some of the best. I've actually sold some property or found some property just by the meetings alone. And I've never been to another agency or another brokerage that's ever allowed you to do that what I want or I need kind of deal. So, you're on the number one winning team here. This is probably one of the best offices, if in Houston, in the entire nation. And we're gonna just keep on building it.
Can you ask me the question again?
What we're looking for is what tools that are provided here that we want to make sure that they're using that have been beneficial, coupled with what allowed you to get to that next level quickly. Because that's what we want to end with. And then again, any questions you have, we can ask them.
So the tools that I use, on my phone, I have a folder with all my real estate related apps. I haven't used it recently, but everyone touched on social media. There's an app called Hootsuite. You can do this yourself if you time block 3 hours, and you can set the post that you want to be scheduled for a whole week, a whole month, however long you want it to be set, and it's free. So you have Hootsuite available. I use that's not with us. I do use Claris Metrics. I do use RPR as well. You should download that. I also use non-related to KW. I use the CSS app. It's on there. It's much easier to schedule them that way. We have the KW app where you can share with your clients. I pay for the premium HAR thing, so I just use the HAR app. I send my clients the branded app, and I like it because I go in there and check their activity. I can see what they're looking at. I can see when they favorite something. So if I see that they have been favoriting stuff, I pick up the phone and call them. They don't know. Well, I tell them, hey, I can see this, but I word it in a way that says this will help us streamline it. When you want to go see showings, you don't have to text me the addresses because I get annoyed when I get too many texts. I just tell them to create a folder in the HAR app that says showings and put the properties in there that you want to see under showings, and I will go in there and schedule them. So it will help you be a lot more efficient, and a lot of the stuff that, other than that one that we pay for HAR, it's free. So that's what I use. As far as what helped me catapult my business, for me, it might sound...
Things went crazy for you right around February.
Okay, so if you look at that, my buyers, just so you know, 100% of my buyers are first-time home buyers. The thing that helped me with my business really was just my mindset. It took me over a year, maybe a year and 3 months, to really decide. I was in and out with my commitment to really decide, do you really want to do this or not? And I decided that I did, not because I like houses, because I don't, but I like business. So I want to set up what I have as a business to where you have the right systems in place where I can pull out of the business and let someone else run it. I'm taking Bold right now, and this is a good thing that the Bold coach told us, and he said, if you're working 24/7, you're not a good business person. And maybe that's a lot of us here, but it's not. So that allowed me to see that all these buyers that I have next year, everything will be green, and that will be delegated to someone else. So I'm going to use the showing service that Michael has here in the office to just delegate everything out, because that eats up all my time when I can be making 3 times as much if I had listings.
Agent. Yep. Joey, thank you. Quickly, please.
Yes, I would say that the one thing that really catapulted my business was finding out how to be exceptional to your clients. And that, I mean, not only in real estate, but also in life. The couple of times recently I had a transaction that went south. It actually wasn't even my transaction. Another agent asked me to be part of it, and he was so bad they kicked him out of it and asked me to be on the transaction because they liked the service that I brought. That person ended up referring me an $8 million listing shortly thereafter, which, no, I haven't. I wish, but I will soon. Another person was a lease. You know, I typically don't do leases that often, but this lady and I bonded just talking about life and philosophy and things like that. She referred me since to her sister, gave me 5 $1 million properties in Panama. So now I've got farm and ranch, international, you know, all this experience just from these few customers that I provided exceptional, you know, service to. And really it was just about caring about what's important to them. You know, so I would say that's what's catapulted me to another level for sure. Is just having that connection, that real connection with people in a meaningful way. As far as tools, I would say we can talk about software all day probably, but I think the most important thing is the people around you. I mean, these are really part of your team, and if you have, you know, something you don't know how to do, like farm or ranch, I've partnered with probably half the people on this panel on various things. You know, I don't know how to speak Spanish, so I asked Jess to help me with a seller I have that speaks Spanish, so we're partnering on that listing. I don't know how to do commercial. I asked Ozzy to walk me through that process, even though I have a commercial listing, right? So it's a way to grow in different areas. I'm not very good with buyers, so I talked to Jen, who's super sweet and can work with buyers really well. Michael seems to know everything about everything, so I call that guy if I have a random problem. But yeah, just these guys are on your team. All these are great resources for you to have, so make sure you use them.
Yeah, like other offices, if you've been there, it feels like you're competing with everyone. Here it's more of a synergistic component, and that's what we look for. So thank you. Take it back. Go ahead, Frank. Do you use any of the tools yet?
Yes, my favorite tool is the KW memory system. The two contacts. Some client can only 30 or 14% to the final we can get the deal.
Okay.
I think thanks to the system. If the company, our company can give us more leads from this system. I don't know how they find us on the system, and if we can get 10 or 20 we will be rich.
It's
Thank
easier
you.
than driving 200 miles a day.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
All right, very good. Thank you. Lee?
I use the e-edge for the drip campaign, the did you know emails
Guys,
that go out.
throw everybody you know into that EH campaign if you're not doing something right now. Just throw them in.
Yeah,
Doesn't have
you
to be
don't even have
perfect.
to think about it. It sends it out every month. You don't even know it's gone out. Sometimes people reply and say that was a great article, and I'm like, oh, right. Also, definitely what Alex said. Find a great mentor in the office. That is without a doubt the best thing I ever did. I think taking peak producers really catapulted my business last year. And also, don't be afraid of leases. I know they're a lot of work, but leases eventually turn into buyers. I have one this morning who just emailed me and said she's just been pre-approved for $450,000, and she was just a 2,500 lease last year. So,
and your cash.
Let's see if I can pull it down. Sorry. The best thing that works for me is actually my app. The best $100 you can spend is your KW app that is like the HAR, and you personalize it to you. Mine's KW Aussie. And I always tell everybody to text KW Aussie to 87778. They do, and they pass it around to their friends, and all day long, people text me and share houses with me that they like to see, and I go and open them up for them. And it's instant leads that I capture constantly. It's the best $100 you could ever spend because I've made tons of sales from it.
The upgrade, okay, guys?
It's
Not
the upgrade.
regular one,
Otherwise,
upgrade.
otherwise you're sharing EYO 4738, and you can't remember all those numbers. You know, hey, text EY 47832 to 87778. And I go, no thanks. So brand it. Get yourself branded. The other thing is the e-edge newsletters, and just spend one day looking at e-edge under the marketing tab of everything that you can do for free for your clients. It's the best time that you could ever do because you can start campaigns for your database, and it's really a great thing that you can do for everyone because it fits every one of your contacts. The other thing that I do, I think, for those of you that aren't good at time management, there's an app called Cloze, C-L-O-Z-E. It actually tells you who you haven't talked to in a couple of days, who you haven't emailed in a couple of days, who you need to talk to in a couple of days. It's a friendly nag to you, so use it. It's free, and that's how I.
KW's product comes out in the next couple of months. That's gonna be the same thing.
But it's a great app that just tells you those things, and then. Peak Producer, Buffini is probably one of the best things that you can do. It just helps cross over to where you can personalize your business with your clients and get across that personalization. Those pop buys help you break that barrier for that soft sell. Some of the things that we think is a little too pushy really isn't. It's just a conveyance of the heart to your client that says that I really want to be a part of you and you be a part of me, and it's relationship building. And there's two types of agents. There's relationship referral building, or there's that just transactional building. And transactional they're going to find another agent eventually as soon as they run into them. But if you have a relationship, they'll stick with you, and that's really what you want. And the other thing that I can tell you is also my business started growing on down payment assistance programs. There's 47 different down payment assistance programs in the state of Texas, and it doesn't mean low income. There's some for doctors where you can help them get homes in the millions of dollars for money down and 110% closing costs. So it's really good programs that you can help people get homes inexpensively that fit their needs. And if you work on the research, you can build up a good buyer lead. And then those transactions, if you're getting a buyer, they have to sell a house too, so you can get both sides of the deal.
So as far as the technology side goes, Cheryl already shared that, but KW Power Lister is the main thing we use. Everything else we kind of dabble in, which we could probably do better. But the main thing that's catapulted our business is Joe Diasana forced me to go to Peak Producer, and Cheryl did Bold. And so she's more of the relational person, and so I think it was better for her to do Bold, and I'm more of a in-kept, very technical, analytical kind of person. And Pete Producer was great for me, and it stretched me in that area, and it stretched her more on the kind of the analytics side and the sales side. And so as a team, you know, we counterbalance each other, and then having the tools and stretching ourselves in our weak areas has, and then plus being very community-oriented, engaged, you know, doing these events and getting connected with people, and you know, just being extremely authentic. You know, if you're very authentic with your clients, then they will continue to refer you. They will.
Great advice.
I mean, like that's huge. So all of that combined has really catapulted us, and you know that this is what we're doing in an inefficient manner. Like I
keep saying that, but it doesn't look too bad.
But what I'm saying is, like, this is like, you can, even inefficiently, you can still do this. So like, and that's why we're having this panel, is to show you that it's not too hard of a hurdle to get over.
It doesn't have to be perfect, does it?
No, you rough this thing in. You can fine tune it later. Get out there, work it like a business, do it, and be authentic. That's the main thing. Don't be one of those agents. Nobody wants to work with one of those agents. Just be authentic, be real. You know.
Thank you, Drew. We're going to wrap it up with Drew, but then again, anyone with any questions, we'd love to take those.
One of the main tools that I've used that I haven't heard anybody else mention is coaching. I was in the coaching program for the first year. I went into every one of my sessions with a long list of questions. There wasn't any chit-chatting in there. It was all business, and I made use of every minute of that time I was paying for it. What has catapulted my business, I capped 1 month prior to my end of my first year, and I've capped just shy of 2 months into my second year. I take every deal. I'm focused on transactions. I want as many as possible. There's something to learn from every one of them. They're just slightly different enough that I learn from every one of them. I keep, year over year, I want to double the number of transactions I've done previously. Obviously, I want to keep inching up the dollar amount as well. But I mean, for now, I killed my it took me 5 months to sell my first lease. But that lady, she is the lady I did the lease for. She's extremely successful businesswoman. She sends me other deals now. So, you know, it's just bust your butt on whatever you get, and it will pay off.
And you had 15.
15.
Actual transactions. That doesn't include any leases.
That does include leases.
But this one doesn't. I'm just saying my sheet that I have doesn't include. So you had 15 in the last 12
so
months.
At the end of my first year, I had 15 transactions. I'll easily hit 30 my second year.
You don't want to keep doubling. Trust me. You want to get.
But my point is I want transactions initially so that I see so many different pieces, because there's obviously a lot of deals are very similar, but there's always a couple different little things you can learn. So
you're so learning based. All right, guys, can we give some applause for these guys? That was awesome. Now, does anybody have any questions? Yes. All right, Big Ray.
How y'all doing? Some of y'all I know, some of y'all I don't. My biggest question, being new, I don't have a problem going after the business, grinding, and getting through the early stages, but can some of you speak to mindset and how does a new person get through the lows, you know, of fighting for that first deal or getting that first deal, and the time between that second deal, and just keeping the right attitude?
Let me get a couple of you to speak on that so we can get some more stuff. A great question. Go ahead. You want to hand the mic? Go ahead, Joey, if you want to go first. Or
I was just going to say, always consciously going back to the right place in your mind. Ozzy's grateful list, awesome idea. I do it every day myself. Reading, keeping in the right mind frame, and then just trying to stay positive, just doing the right things, surrounding yourself with the
what
right
are you
people.
reading?
What am I reading?
Yeah. What are you feeding your mind?
A bunch of great things. I like The Miracle Morning is a great book. There's so many, honestly. Tony
Miracle Morning
Robbins.
is fantastic. If you can get a copy of that and read that as quick as possible. There's one for real estate. The main one is great. The one that's not for real estate. All right. Anybody? David or Jessica?
Just to get you get you through it. I mean, honestly, it's like Mike told me this a long time ago, and it really resonated with me. Is if you're waiting for the next deal, it's not going to come. You have to have your pipe filled. Right now, as a new agent, you guys are going to you're going to take everything you can. Mike told me this a long time ago when I first came in, and I had to do a cash advance on a deal, and he turned around and said, "David, you don't have to do a cash advance. You just get more deals. Just talk to more people." It's not really getting more deals, it's talking to more people. Once you get your system down, and I think I've even talked to you about this, haven't I? You need to have your system down when you talk to a client, a buyer or a seller. You have to have an intent when you sit down with anybody you talk to, and it's not a pitch, but it's trying to get to the hard questions. That's one of the things that agents don't do, is ask the hard questions. Why are you doing this? What's your time frame? How long have you been thinking about this? What do you think your situation's like? Asking people these questions, you can turn around these questions back to them and get to a yes faster than you would ever think of if you just asked them up front. But Mike did tell me this a long time ago. Bottom line, just talk to more people. That's how it's going to get you through the lows. The next thing is all the culture in this house, in this place, in this house I call a house. You need to start connecting with them. You've got some great people. You've sat in Town Square and listened to some great people talk. Just get with them. Ask them questions. Ask them what they're going. But you also got to respect their time. So you got to respect their time and actually, get to that point. You're going to get yourself there, but always keep the end goal in mind. You want to be great at what you do, right? Now, I'm not saying be a millionaire. I'm saying you want to be great at what you do, right? That's the end goal.
All right, Ozzy, last one on this one.
Just don't be afraid to ask for the work. A lot of people don't follow up by asking for the work. They'll tell people what they can do. They'll tell people how to do it, but they don't actually say the word, let me have the work.
Okay, very good. So just rephrasing it, because if you got to have a mic on, we got about 40 people watching at home. Ask for
the work.
Ask for it. All right, any other questions? Nope, let's start with you. What's your name?
Arif.
Arif.
Hi, I'm Arif. I'm a new agent here, as you know. I have a question for Ozzy. Actually, Ozzy just mentioned that there are 47 down payment assistance program in Texas.
List them all.
So how do we get to that? How do we get to those resources? How do we get to know more about those programs?
There's several places. You can actually look up Texas. There's downpaymentsassistanceprograms.org, and if you look under the Texas, they're broken down by state, so look under Texas and you can see which ones. There's some very popular ones like the Seth program and the MCC program that are combined together. Those are the popular ones, but for instance, right now a really popular one that's really good if you have people that want to buy land is the USDA one that's becoming very popular because the United States Department of Agriculture wants people to quit urbanizing. They want to save a lot of the rural property, so they're giving great programming to people that want to buy more than half an acre of land. And if you do it outside of Harris County, they're giving great down payment assistance programs. They're almost paying all of the down payment, and they're also paying a lot towards the closing cost just to get people in these programs. On the other end, there's physician grants that for students that or pre-med students or pre-med people that are just getting into the physician programs, that they're helping them pay 110% of their closing cost to get them into homes because they're starting doctor programs. And so they're actually getting 100% of their closing costs plus 10% on top of it.
That's kind of wild. First off, he's doing that. That program's been around for about 8 years, and it was pitched heavily. He's using it, but he's sharing it with you. He just, in some mindsets, it's like he just gave up a huge strategic advantage that he could have shut his mouth over, but instead he's sharing it.
Yeah,
that's
but
the difference.
That goes back to the rope program. If you work your referrals, you do your open houses, you do your property desk, and that's the education part. Educate yourself, then educate your client. Then that client's going to use you, and he's going to go back to that hospital and tell how he got the great deal working through you, and then all of a sudden you've got a bunch of doctors.
All right, let's get one more. Who's got one? There you go. Okay. We'll get one more after. We'll get you to be the last one.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chantel, and I am bold.
Hi, Chantel.
Okay, so kind of a two question. I heard a lot of you all mention it. One, when you say treat this as a business, you decided to treat this as a business, what does that mean? I know mindset is one thing, but exactly what do you mean as far as
Page
putting this in,
of bold. Page 129
putting it
of
into
bold.
business, and then
MREA.
And then second question is, I heard a lot of you mention exceptional service and finding out what that means for clients. So what does that mean? Because that's one thing I want to pride myself on, is giving exceptional service. So I could say that's, one of my selling points.
So I'll talk on the treating it like a business. Other than the mindset, I don't even know I don't go to Starbucks often, but what time does Starbucks open?
Early.
So
24 hours.
if it's 7 a.m.,
5:30.
treating it like in business means that if you go up to a Starbucks store, they're always going to be open at 7 a.m. So when you're treating it like a business, you should always be in the office by a certain time. You don't get to pick and choose that today you're going to sleep in and then you go in at 9, because you're your own boss. And sometimes that's not good for a lot of people that are undisciplined. So I would say that's like the main one. And then the other thing is, you're your own boss, but you're also your own employee. So a mistake that I did was the finances. When I started my second year, beginning January 1st, I opened up a business account with my bank. So all my commission checks go into that business account, and I pay myself every 15th and every 30th. And I pay myself the same amount as if I was on salary. It never changes, so my budget has to work around that. So those are my two main things as far as treating it like a business, and that's all I have for that.
Treating it like a business is exactly what she said. I mean, if you really get down the deal of it, it's about systems and processes. What's your system? What time are you going to get up? What time are you going to go to sleep? What time are you going to close? What time? How does the deal go through the transaction? You really need to take a class. I mean, they do your business planning class every year. You need to know what your numbers are. What do you need to hit to keep the doors open? You need to take that class. If not, Mike, when's the next class?
We should be having that. It's the 15th of next month,
So
November.
put it on your
Right.
calendar, guys. You need to know what your overhead is and what you actually have to make. How many transactions, do you know how many transactions you have to close to make what you're trying to make? You need to know that. How many people you got to talk to? How many emails you got to send out? How many conversations do you have to have? How many are going to fall out? So that's the difference here. That's what's treating it like a business is looking at it as income generation, not just for you, but for other people. Because ultimately, you're going to get to a point in your business, you're going to have to support 5, 6, 10 people if you wanted to. You could, the Loken team, how many do they support?
55.
55. You think they treat it like a business? So that's the thing. What you need to do as a one-person deal, the same thing. I love what Jessica said. She pays herself a salary. She doesn't get to live. She doesn't live off of each one of the checks. She pays herself a salary and lives off of it. You need to know that. Understanding how many people you got to talk to, that's treating it like a business.
That's on page 130 of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
I'm just going to add two quick things about the...
It's also what? It's also in the CGI that you guys all have.
I was going to add two quick things, and then Joey has something to add too. So as far as treating it like a business, for me, October was business planning. So I don't know if you've ever sat down to add up how much you actually spend. That's so important, because if you don't know what you're spending, how do you know what you need to make? So I added up, and I don't even do listings, so that doesn't even include marketing expenses. And my total was close to $7,000 just to operate. So basically if you do 7,000 divided by 12, whatever that number is, if you don't make at least that much a month, you're negative. So that's your business is negative. Right. So basically that's treating it like a business. And then the Loken group, they were in my bold class, and I was able to shadow them just because I wanted to see at a high level how are they doing it. And they have systems in place, and it's a really good business. I wouldn't want to work with them, but for them.
Yeah, I wanted to say the part about the business is definitely know your numbers. It's so important to know your numbers, but to also have goals. How can you ever hit a target that you don't have? You miss 100% of the time. So you got to have goals, and you got to have realistic goals, and you got to track them throughout the year by knowing your numbers and making sure you're on target and making changes, tweaks in your business to adjust for those. And then I think the part about, and also I was going to say, especially as a new agent, you only have two things, time and money. And you have a lot of time when you're a new agent, not necessarily a lot of money, but at a certain point you run out of time, and you got to learn how to leverage. You got to learn how to leverage with people and systems and tools and things like that. So it's a constant balance of those things as you start to grow in your business. And the part about the exceptional customer service, I would say, some of it's kind of basic. I'm sure a lot of these guys can agree, but it's so amazing how much people just don't follow up. And when you talk to a client, they're like, wow, you called back when you said you were going to call. Sometimes it's basic things like that. But it's really going above and beyond and providing that full customer service experience. Are you bringing great flyers to the house, for all the listings? Are you doing open houses for them? Are you giving them communication every week? It's all of those as part of your value proposition that you should have for your clients, and that should be consistent across the board. Just like a McDonald's, just like any other place that has a consistent value proposition, right?
Third over here. Last comment on this one, Michael? And then I know.
So about exceptional service, and as Joey said, keep it consistent. Don't be one of those agents that has your crackberry out taking pictures of people's houses when you're in the mirror and printing out inkjet printouts at a $600,000 listing, which I was just at, couldn't believe. But do it consistently with everybody, not just because, they're a $500,000 house, so now I'm going to do 32 pictures. No. My $120,000 house gets the exact same thing that my $1 million house does. It's a business expense. If this is your business, it's a tax write-off business expense. Treat every single transaction like a business. Every one of my clients gets full video, 32 pictures, a Zillow video, 3D walkthrough from Matterport, every single one of them. Whether it's $120,000. Now, do I make less on the 120? Absolutely. But that's your brand that's out there. That is your brand. And so if you're skimping because it's a $120,000 listing and somebody happens to see it that's a $500,000 listing, do you think that they're going to give you a shot? Hopefully not. Although you see it out there on the MLS all the time. But stay consistent with everybody and go above and beyond. Pick out little things that you hear your clients say when you're going through a walkthrough. One, I went through and they had a vase. As soon as we walked in, the guy's like, oh man, I love that vase. Right then I knew if I got that house, that vase was going to be there as part of the negotiation. So when they walked in with the keys after they closed, first thing that's there is that vase. Completely surprised to them. My capper tonight that I'm going to cap with, it's $1 million listing that we're closing on tonight. The third house we walked through, there was a Fleetwood Mac shirt or something, and I heard her say to her partner, oh, Fleetwood Mac. I've been to every single Fleetwood Mac concert that's been out there. Just so happens Fleetwood Mac's coming down to Sugar Land, so I bought them tickets for that. So it's those little bitty things that not only make you get referrals, makes people zealots for you. That don't just say, oh, you should use this person. No, you don't have it. You have to use Michael McSorley. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's where you start getting those referrals come in. But you have to treat it like a business, and everybody is your most important client, whether they're worth, whether it's a lease to $100,000 to $1 million or $5 million person. Treat them the same.
Great point. It's turning them into raging fans. Yes. Last question. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Michael, and I want to thank you all for all the wonderful information you shared today. My question is based on referrals. You've talked about it overall. Aside from the coffees and the lunches, how do you love on your best cheerleaders, your best referral sources? What do you do to go the extra mile to show them that they're special and to keep those referrals coming?
So how do you work the people? Thank you. Great question.
Is it on? Okay, we do like little treats. So for March, we might have a theme, St. Patrick's Day, and I put together a cute little flyer and like cake pops, and they're called pop buys. They are shocked. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Popcorn bags. I mean, it doesn't have to be a gourmet treat, just something, little things. We did Halloween sugar cookies we had a special event for our clients, a client appreciation event. That's a one-stop thing for the season that you can touch all of your clients, invite them to, make them feel appreciated. Wow, you're going to offer this for us? And even if they don't go, it doesn't matter.
You get points.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So they love that stuff.
And partner with a lender. They'll help you pay for it.
Okay. And somebody else maybe who hasn't spoken?
I always send my referrals a gift. If they're in this town, I take them out for lunch or dinner. And if they're somewhere else, like in Scotland, I send them a voucher for a dinner over there, and I don't skimp on it. Even if it's only a lease, because you never know who they're going to send you next time. And like I say, the girl that I was telling you about earlier, who just got pre-approved for $450,000, she was a lease last year, and she has expensive taste in champagne. And when she got the keys to the apartment, I went round with a really nice bottle of champagne that cost me more than I could afford at the time, but you know it's going to pay off now. So just treat them nice. It was Billy Cart Samo.
Let's get one more. Anybody? Joey?
Yeah, I just
We'll
wanted
wrap
to.
it up here.
Yeah, I have a gift program too, where I give them, escalating gifts, based on how many referrals they get, and it gets, very customized down to their last thing. But I would also say, to add on to that, you're rewarding the behavior, not necessarily the result. So even if that lead doesn't close or doesn't come through, you're still rewarding that person regardless. I want to stress that, because that person will continue to be an advocate for you, in the future.
That's Buffini, man. That's your A client.
And is it easy all the time when you're escalating up and know that they haven't given you four leads that haven't closed, and yet they're still at that tier level?
Yeah, absolutely not. It's like I have no money from this at all. Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
guys, thank you so much again. Thank you. I can't applaud you enough for giving your time. I know we went over. All right, and we're gonna rush to the airport.